Well, 4 big games, an upset, an epic, a big finals arrival and some emotional departures. That was just a taste of what happened. Let's pick the eyes out of all of it in Hot or Not.
Footyology's Hot or Not is proudly brought to you by Trade Institute of Victoria. Start your future today at tiv.vic.edu.au.
Well, I'm going to go first. You touched on it. I'll elaborate. Hawthorn Geelong. If that isn't now the best rivalry football has seen, I think it's got to be really, really close. 3 finals now in the last 4 years, 2 of them decided by a kick, as we see the infamous Isaac Smith shot after the siren. They've played 19 games, these 2 teams, since the 2008 grand final that kicked it all off, Finey. 11 of them now have been decided by 10 points or less. Now, it's like West Coast and Sydney a decade ago, except it's just gone on twice as long. The standard of football's always high. They're tough, they're skillful. What more can you ask for? And, you know, you can have your Carlton Collingwood and Carlton Essendon, whatever. They're based more on history and culture. But for pure football quality, I don't think we've had a better rivalry than the Hawks and the Cats.
I agree. Just looking at that footage, I didn't have this as a hot or not, and I really should have. A lot of sympathy for Isaac Smith after the game. Not his fault. It's, 100 minutes of football or whatever, and minutes we play nowadays. Actually, that was not hot. That was a very poor kicker goal. He was 35 metres out, had that sort of nervous smile beforehand that made you very nervous about the shot at goal, and he actually flipped that. That ball didn't deviate. That was exactly where he kicked it. He didn't kick through the ball. He kicked it where he aimed. That was a very poor kick for an AFL footballer.
Yeah, it was. Jeez, you're a hard taskmaster.
I'm just saying he's got a lot of... the immediate thing is you can't blame Isaac Smith.
Yeah.
I reckon you can blame Isaac Smith.
I liked him more because he smiled at the umpire finding. I don't know why, but I like him anyway. He's a ripping bloke. Okay,
It doesn't
you're
take away from his excellent football resume. I mean, he's a great footballer, but that was not a good kick. I'll go the other way. I'm going to go hot with Tom Boyd. Look, all the talk during the season about Tom Boyd's pay packet, etc. The kid, he got what he could get money-wise, and good on him. But in a game that required the Bulldogs to have something to kick at, now not necessarily a huge goal kicker against the West Coast Eagles, he was exactly what Redpath was providing, which was a target up front, hit the packs hard. He played a really good game of football. He was totally engaged, and actually with him and Roughhead back in the side, they had some ominous big marking power going forward and coming out of the back line. I thought Tom Boyd was fantastic. And a little tip to the AFL, by the way, they did this twice. When they do the best players in their official rundown of the game, they must put initials, because they had in the best for the Doggies Boyd, I'm assuming it was M. Boyd, and Selwood, I'm assuming it was J. Selwood.
Good point.
There were more than one Boyd and one Selwood playing.
Hope you're listening, AFL. Okay, I'm next. It's a knot, and it's a sad knot. It's not a accusatory knot, and it's Callum Mills of Sydney, because deserved winner of the Rising Star this year, comes out to play his first final, and then this happens. He's pinged the hamstring. Have to think he won't play again this season. And if anyone was less deserving of a fate like that in their first final, it was that kid, because he's been a gun. Really smart player. He's so more mature than his birth certificate indicates, and he'll be a big loss for them, I think.
It was very sad, wasn't he? Pounding the turf. He will be a big loss. With Tippett, they're up against it. They were most people's, they were the favourites going into the finals, and my pick to win the grand final. Not so now.
Okay, you next.
Not hot. Don't have any footage of this one. Ben Brown, because there's no footage of Ben Brown on the weekend. Look, he just didn't step up.
Bit inconspicuous?
Hard to be inconspicuous when you're 6'6" and you look like Ronald McDonald, who's been put on the rack. But, I mean, seriously, this is not he had a very poor preliminary final last year as well.
He did.
Ben Brown is a key forward. He's a tall marking option. We knew that Drew Petrie was coming to the end of his days. He didn't present. And just as I loved Boyd for presenting, I was not impressed by Ben Brown's exit stage left.
Yeah, fair enough. And you're right, I immediately thought of last year's preliminary final. So, if and when he plays another final, I think he's got a few points that need to be made. Okay, last one from me, another hot. It's a pretty obvious one, Eddie. He's just, I think he's now so popular, he's been reduced to sure single name status. Another incredible performance from Eddie Betts, 6 goals. Big hangers, great snaps, fast with his hands. Look at that ball control there and his vision. He's just a gun. And look, if you're talking about the great small forwards of all time, this guy's just getting up there. I mean, Stephen Milne, I know, chronically underrated as a small forward, but I think this guy's highs are a fair bit higher than Stevie Milne. He's just an absolute jet. We all love watching him. And look, if the Crows end up winning the flag, there's no player I'd be more pleased for than Eddie.
Very similar on the ground to Milne, but he's a great mark, which Milne was not. He's the best small forward I've ever seen. He's just a ripper.
Big call. Okay, bring us home.
And my hot is Jeremy Cameron, who played the best quarter of finals football I've seen since, well, I'm not going to go back to, we'll do it in a segment a little bit later on, but he was magnificent. Look at the rundown tackle on Gary Rohan, who's actually a rundown tackle specialist himself. Intercept mark, 3 goals, inspirational stuff. The bloke stood up, hasn't had a great year, but when it counted, Jeremy Cameron, cometh the hour, cometh the man. And to think Patton barely had a kick, because he's not a bad footballer.
No, it was a great quarter, and probably, epitomised, I think, their upside, and probably the individual performance that makes you think they're very much a key player in the flag race.
We specialise in building and construction. We're getting students that are coming from interstate. I mean, that's real acknowledgement for us. TIV, Trade Institute of Victoria, we're proud of our students.
You know, with all the programs they've had in place and the youth girls coming through, like I went and watched the Youth Girls Carnival a couple of months ago and I was blown away. Like they were, the skill level and the way they moved the ball was phenomenal. So the skill is definitely there.